Hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. This is the Jamal Show. I'm very sorry that my intro music has not started today. That's something that's irking me. I'm going to have to fix that. My name is Jamal. I'm the host, and we've got a lot to cover today. First of all, I want to cover some bases. It's very important to say that my views don't represent this station. Also, we are looking for advertisers and ideas. So you can contact us at jamalshowradio@gmail.com. That is jamalshowradio@gmail.com. Or the Jamal Show on Facebook. We have a lively discussion there. Please join us. So I have a question for you people. Here in Hartford, it's a nice sunny day, kind of breezy. But I do have a question for you. Have you ever wondered why your kid can't get into an Ivy League school, even though they have straight A's and great SAT scores, maybe great ACT scores? Have you ever wondered that? Call it affirmative action for rich white people. Rich people are cheating to get their kids into prestigious schools over other kids. In a college admissions scandal brought to light Tuesday, federal prosecutors allege wealthy parents paid to help their children cheat on college entrance exams and to falsify athletic records of the students to enable them to secure admission to elite schools. So these schools include UCLA, USC, Stanford, Yale, right here in New Haven, and Georgetown, some of the best schools in the country. A lot of people charge, about 50 people. This guy, Rich Singer, he owns a non-for-profit in Newport Beach college admissions company. He's at the center of the scheme. According to court documents, wealthy parents paid to have him and others facilitate their children's cheating on college entrance exams. And also, they were admitted as elite athletes when they didn't even play. Regardless of whether they played in sport, prosecutors allege this. Now, this guy Singer, Rich Singer, owned a company that's kind of a for-profit college development company. He helps kids get into college. And prosecutors allege that Singer introduced parents to make payments to a fake charity that he owned, under the guise of charitable donations. Everybody should be outraged over this. The schools are. A lot of the schools started firing coaches and stuff. Let's get a little more into this. This story got big because it involves some famous actors. William H. Macy, who's actually a very good actor, and his wife Felicity Huffman from Desperate Housewives. They gave him $15,000. Also involved were various bankers, lawyers. There's another actress, Lori Loughlin, from Full House. The scheme was thought to bring in as much as $25 million through Singer's fake charity, which was set up to help disadvantaged kids go to school. Ironically, it had the opposite effect. There's a couple of angles to this that I want to hit on, but you get the idea. Here you have some pretty middle class to upper class wealthy families, which already puts you ahead of the game. Saying, no, well, we want them to go to specific schools. It's not that these kids couldn't get into school at all. It's that they wanted them to go to these specific schools. So that's what you have. There's a few angles to this. These are the people generally that we watch walk the red carpet. We watch them, they go to the Oscars, they go to the Emmys, we watch them walk the red carpet. Meanwhile, they're cheating your kids out of a future. And I take this seriously. You know, this is not a joking matter because I know a lot of kids that really sweat and get nervous over getting into college. their parents as well. Taking tests, preparing for tests, studying. All you really needed was money, right? And these people, Felicity Huffman, you know, Desperate Housewives was a big hit show. William H. Macy has been in many, many movies. Millionaires. Easily could go to just about any school they wanted to. But they want their kids to go to this specific school. And the next person in line for that school who can't afford $15,000, or in the case of Lori Loughlin and her husband, Massimo, he's a big Italian fashion designer. You know, they gave $500,000 to this fake charity for this guy, a rich singer. And this is how he did it. He would play the administrator for the test. And then he would change the test scores for certain people. Make sure they either got a perfect score or a lot higher than they got on their first try. And then there's another scheme where he would pay off coaches. The coach of the Yale men's tennis team, you know, stuff like that. UCLA's soccer team. Thousands of dollars to say, yeah, he's a member of our team, which ups his expectations of getting into the school. And then the kid shows up for one practice and disappears. Nobody says anything. All of a sudden he's in school, he's not even on the team anymore. Now, contrary to popular belief, that actually happens a lot with people who are recruited, where it just doesn't work out. Nobody asks any questions until now. Now, this scheme was uncovered by accident. There was a banker who was going for securities fraud, who was being prosecuted for securities fraud, and he said, let me make a deal. You know, this coach has come up to me and offered me to pay him $450,000 for my kid to get into school. You might want to check that out. Just by accident. This was going to go on forever. $25 million has already been earned by this guy. When they, Rick Singer, when they shut down his charity, he still had over $5 million in it. Which brings me to another issue about charities that we're about to get to. But this is just more proof that rich people are not better than you. So why do we idolize them so much? Why do we idolize wealth so much? As if these people walk on water. They don't. In fact, most studies will tell you that they're actually, the wealthier you are, the more likely you are to commit fraud in some kind of way to keep that. Here, in this situation, their wealth would have been good enough. But no, they want their kids to have more than their share. If you had asked them, if their kids would have gotten away with this, and you asked them 10 years from now, hey, did you really deserve your college degree? They'd have been like, yeah. They would tell you they deserve their privilege. They built this. But I will tell you, these kids don't seem at all moved by their parents' sacrifice. Lori Loughlin's daughter has a YouTube page where she's really interested in her YouTube page. She entered college with a degree of indifference, apparently. Despite the extra strings her parents allegedly pulled to get her there. She goes by Olivia Jade on her YouTube channel. She shrugged off her upcoming college education during a question and answer video shared to her page back in August. I don't know how much of school I'm going to attend, she says. But I'm going to go in and talk to my deans and everyone, and I hope I can try to balance it all, she told her viewers. But I do want the experience of game days and partying. I don't really care about school, as you guys all know. Now, these comments sparked immediate backlash from fans, as it should, who were quick to point out to the YouTuber in the comments section, wow, I wish I could go to school just for the experience and not care about my education to earn a living and waste your parents' money. Another annoyed commenter added, really sucks how someone who was only going to college for partying, literally stole somebody's spot who legitimately wanted an education and probably studied very hard to get an acceptance. Amid all this fierce criticism, Olivia Jade posted another video to apologize for her comments. I said something super ignorant and stupid, basically, and it totally came out that I'm ungrateful for college. I'm going to a really nice school, she said, and it just kind of made it seem like I don't care. I don't want to brush it off. I'm just going to be successful at YouTube and not have to worry about school. That's what this woman's daughter is saying. This woman Her mother paid $500,000 for her to just get in. She continued, I'm really disappointed in myself. I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry for anyone I offended by saying that. I know it's a privilege and a blessing, and I'm really grateful. Now, $500,000 just to get into college when you don't even know she's going to be successful or not. That means you've got money, right? Because $500,000 is enough for investment in a franchise. You could probably get a McDonald's for $500,000. Why do you need college, right? If you got that kind of money to throw away. Interestingly enough, she's dropping out now. Lori Loughlin, excuse me. I think it's Loughlin. It's spelled Loughlin. I'm sorry, Lori, if I mispronounced your name. Maybe you can pay me $500,000 to get it right. Her daughters are dropping out of the University of Southern California because they're afraid, and that's not even an Ivy League. So, you know, you're paying $500,000 to go to a school that's not even an Ivy League school. Because they're afraid of being bullied. They're dropping out because they're afraid of being bullied over the massive college admissions scam that has left them feeling like a mess. Both of them, 19-year-old Olivia Jane, her sister Isabella Rose, sounds like rich names, had decided to withdraw from USC days after their parents were arrested and charged with paying the girls' way into school. One source told the gossip website TMZ that the girls worried they'll be viciously bullied if they return to school. It's funny, because they expect the worst out of the people around them. But the people around them never expected the worst out of them. So now they're scared to go back to school because they think they'll be bullied. Interestingly enough, I think that's the right decision. I too would probably leave the school I'd feel guilty. To be totally honest with you. And I want to point out the role of charities in this because I frequently criticize charities online. Once again, I plug the Jamal Show on Facebook. Join us. Charities are basically tax shelters. Many charities are not up to what they say they are. And before you donate to any charity, you really need to do your research. There are plenty of sites online where you can do research on charities that you give your hard-earned money to. Your money is your energy. It's your life. It's what you spend most of your day earning. You shouldn't just give it away without knowing who you're giving it to or what it's going to. And in this case, these people did know what it was going to. They were told to give money to the charity, and that money would then be funneled to coaches illegally to bribe them for looking the other way, to school administrators to bribe them for looking the other way, and of course some would go into Rick Singer's pocket. And these celebrities, let me just say, some of them were big attorneys. Not all were celebrities, not all were actors. There were 50 people, but they were all prominent, obviously, because they had $500,000 in their pocket. So you have partners in big law firms. You know, they're going to probably get their license taken for this. This is outright fraud. And it does hurt people. You know. A bookkeeper for the charity voted after William H. Macy paid $15,000. He didn't get charged, by the way, his wife did. A bookkeeper for the charity wrote him back saying that the money would help provide educational and self-enrichment programs to disadvantaged youth. And then the people who paid the money were able to get put it on their taxes and get returns based on that. So there's tax fraud here on a charity that was set up to help disadvantaged youth, helping the most advantaged of all youth in the country, possibly the world. And the charity is a conduit for this scheme. So my lesson to you today, and to me too, is to beware charities. My preferred way of giving to charity is to give my time. I love going down to soup kitchens and serving myself, being a part of it. That's how you really give. Some people don't have the time to do that. Research where you give your money. The list of perpetrators in this scheme included lawyers, coaches, and school administrators. All the people who would try to convince you that they are into meritocracy. Meritocracy means that you earn everything you get. They say one of the biggest meritorious sports in the world is football. You don't get on the field unless you perform, right? So we have lawyers and coaches. These are people, and school administrators, people that generally tell people to work hard, and who would argue that America is a meritocracy, and the harder you work, the farther you get. Well, apparently, if you give a little extra, you can get even further. Maybe we should stop honoring Ivy League schools so much. After all, there are 16 Ivy League schools in the country, and all of them were founded by a founding father. That's the one thing that they all hold in common. They're not necessarily the best. They've been around the longest. It used to be that a school's worth would be measured by how many books it had in its library. This is before the internet. But now every professor has written the books. I believe this school interest scam is probably just the tip of the iceberg. I'm surprised they caught it. It probably goes on all the time. Most likely. Thinking about how they found out about this was by accident. They weren't even looking for it. So, you know, I mean, look at it this way. Donald Trump Jr. and Ivanka got into Wharton. It just so happened that Donald Trump Sr. paid $1.5 million in a donation to Wharton right before they went in. This was legal. And this is actually more ethical, in my opinion, because at least this money helps other students go. It's not barring the next student that could go because your child went instead of them. One of these kids is a rapper. Gregory Abbott's son. Gregory Abbott's a big industrial distributor in New York City. He lives on Fifth Avenue. He paid $450,000 for his daughter to go to, I believe, Georgetown. His son is actually a rapper named Malcolm. Calls himself Billa. The newspaper caught him smoking a blunt in front of the Fifth Avenue apartment. Talking about, you should get off my father's, behind. He's just trying to get, everyone should have a right to go to college. I mean, this dude is smoking a blunt directly in front of his parents' Fifth Avenue apartment. And it's on the front page of the Daily News in New York City. So it's kind of interesting. Lori Loughlin is not expected back now for her last season of Fuller House, which is there's a spinoff. Full House was a big show back, I guess, in the 90s. They've done a spinoff on Netflix. It's in its 5th season called Fuller House. And now I'm hearing she's not going to come back for the last season. I don't know if it's because of this or not. I'm not sure. I will tell you one thing, though. The way the cops are arresting rich people these days, I must applaud it. Because I'm from Harlem. I'm used to seeing poor people being harassed and waking up with the FBI at their door and stuff. But, Roger Stone, Felicity Huffman, R. Kelly, Jussie Smollett, Paul Manafort, all these rich people are getting the FBI kicked down their door. I think that's a little fair. It's not spite, it's fairness. Everyone should be treated equal. I'm going to probably give you a break right now. Let you hear a little something, and I'm going to get into my next subject. Join us at the Jamal Show on Facebook. I'm a little outraged about this, I must say. We all must be. It's not as if the rich don't have enough in this country. They just got a big tax break from President Crime Boss. Almost 2 years ago now. Has done nothing to help the middle class. The idea that they want even more, and then they walk down red carpets like, please admire us. What am I wearing tonight? Isabella, here's $500,000. Use that just to get into college. Forget about the cost and everything. We'll take care of that in another check. Technical problems, baby. This always happens when I don't have an engineer here. It sucks. All right. That sounds good. I like that. I hope you do too. I want to move on to something that was pretty tragic over this past week. 49 people are dead and scores more injured after a heavily armed gunman clad in military-style gear opened fire during prayers at a mosque in the center of Christchurch, New Zealand on Friday. Second mosque was also targeted, and what the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern called a well-planned terrorist attack, making one of New Zealand's darkest days happen. I want to speak on this for a minute. This came to my attention. Obviously, it's been all over the news, but this came to my attention because of something that the Prime Minister said. Prime Minister is a woman named Jacinda. Sounds like a black name. I like that. Ardern. She has a very deep accent. But I was listening to the radio. Once again, you're back on the Jamal Show, and we're talking about the massacre. And I heard her speech after the attack. It was very, very moving. And I want to repeat what she said, because this is what a leader sounds like. And I know that many of us Americans don't really know what a leader sounds like anymore, so I have to remind you. She said, many of those who have been affected by the shooting may be migrants to New Zealand. Now, this shooter went to a church on a Friday, a mosque on a Friday, which is going to be its most packed day, and he knew that there would be, or they knew that there would be migrants there. So once again, she says, many of those who have been affected by the shooting may be migrants to New Zealand. They may even be refugees here. They have chosen to make New Zealand their home, and it is their home. They are us. The person who has perpetuated this violence against us is not us. They have no place in New Zealand. There is no place in New Zealand for such acts of extreme and unprecedented violence, which is, it is clear, what this act was. It would have been so nice to hear Donald Trump say something like that after Charlottesville. The people of Charlottesville are us. Or the way he says, the people of Charlottesville, I can't. I'm not Alec Baldwin, so I'm not good at impersonations, but I can tell you he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say what this woman just said. And that's all he would have had to say. He would have been forgiven by a lot of people for a lot of his mistakes if he showed some contriteness, like this woman is. She's sticking up for people that are new to her country. I am very, very moved by that. They are us, he says. The people who have perpetuated these attacks against us are not us. They have no place in New Zealand. And you know what? Just so happens that she's correct. It just so happens that this guy was actually from Australia. He wrote a 74-page manifesto. He filmed it. He filmed the entire thing. An Australian white man entered a mosque in New Zealand at a time where most migrants would be there. He conducts a shooting rampage, killing over 49 people, wounding dozens more. He was caught. He didn't kill himself. And he filmed it. Now, to prepare for this show, I did see the beginning of one of the films they made. And it was like a guy just pulling up behind the mosque, you know. I mean, if you'd have had sound, he could have been whistling. This dude, he has like a couple of guns in his back seat. He opens his back car, just like, oh, let me pick one of these. Oh, let me shake the, oh, one got caught in the bag here. Let me just shake it off a little bit. Oh, look, the mosque is over here. Let me go around this little gate. Oh, a guy looks at him and says, hello, brother. The guy sees a gun in his hand. And he's like, hello, brother. I don't know if that guy's still alive anymore. And the video that I saw cuts off there, and probably for my best interest. But, you know, he made a video. He Facebook Lived it, much like what I'm doing right now, if you're on my Facebook Live page. And it was posted online, and it's kind of all over the place. Actually, websites have been working overtime, trying to stop people from reposting it. So it was really hard to find, and I doubt it'll be up there when I go back. I doubt even go back, to be honest with you. But it was for show preparation, thank you. So this guy, don't have his name in front of me, he's a white Australian guy, and he's a white supremacist. He wanted to start a race war in America. He said he chose New Zealand because he wants to, he said this in a 74-page manifesto, he wants to start a race war in America. But he chose New Zealand because he wants people to feel not safe anywhere. He wants people to know that immigration problems can attack anywhere. And in his 74-page manifesto, is really interesting. He's infatuated with the propaganda of a woman named Candace Owens, who is a right-wing propagandist. Right loves her. A black woman. To give you an example of some of the things she said, last week she claimed that America has no racism in it. She's always criticizing Black Lives Matter. She has a long history in broadcasting. She calls Donald Trump the savior of Western civilization. That's one of her more recent statements. To give you some background on this woman, how crazy she is, I can tell you that Candace Owens is frequently touted by Kanye West. In April of 2018, Kanye West tweeted, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks." The tweet was met with derision among some of his fans. President Donald Trump stated that Owens is having a great impact on politics in our country. She represents an ever-expanding group of very smart thinkers. And it is wonderful to watch and hear the dialogue going on. So good for our country. That's Donald Trump endorsing Candace Owens, who now, this white supremacist who killed 49 people is now endorsed. So he's a little bit of a troll in his 74-page manifesto. Just to give you a little background on New Zealand, this is very rare for New Zealand. This country has 5 million people in it. 48,000 or so are Muslim. They have very relaxed gun laws. They're more strict than America's, which tells you where we are. But they're very relaxed. None of these attackers were on police radar. They may, in fact, start regulating guns more now in New Zealand. I heard this morning, Jacinda, I love that name, saying that they're going to change the gun laws to make them more regulated. The last mass shooting in New Zealand was in 1997, when 6 people were killed by someone who's legitimately crazy. Before then, it was in 1990. A guy got into an argument with his neighbor, killed his neighbor, and then went around and shot 13 people. I mean, we're talking like a decade between incidents. This killing that happened on Friday with 49 people in one incident, killed more people than all of the murders in New Zealand in 2017. In one incident. So this is very, very rare. Now, you may be asking yourself, Jamal, this is New Zealand we're talking about. Why is this story important? The reason why I say this story is important is because it drives tragic events like this. And for instance, it's fear of demographic change. Obama's election was a symptom of that. And it happened way sooner than anybody thought it would. Now, this is happening. The browning of America, the browning of the world. Immigrants and refugees coming from Syria, Africa, South America, into majority white countries, causing a little demographic change. And why that causes a problem is because most of these countries are run by democracies. In a democracy, the number of people matters. So, if you have a majority white country, and all of a sudden it's not as majority white, the politics are going to change. The power is going to shift hands a little bit. Some people are going to request more freedom than others. This is what happens. Here in America, when it comes to the under 18 population, minorities will outnumber whites in 2020. In the age groups 18 to 29, the tipping point will occur in 2027. There is a history with these kind of situations. Whenever a country is run by a tiny minority of rich and powerful people, they are always overthrown. Sometimes it's violent. Not to say that will happen here. I'm not calling for such. But it's true that the oppressed usually rise up in the end. Especially when people are inconceivably wealthy. The wealth doesn't make sense in the human context. This is the kind of wealth that they have that their families could never spend. Wealth for the sake of wealth. We see some of this fear in America driving immigration policy. Whites will no longer be the majority by 2040, excuse me. Immigration speeds that up. Many white supremacists see that as a vital threat to their race. They see the granting of rights to others as something that limits their rights. Here's the truth in America. Trump's base represents an older, English-speaking, white evangelical Christian society whose supremacy is in its final throes. So, soon all these people are going to be outnumbered by Spanish-speaking Latinos. And they will be pushed aside politically by younger whites who are less religious, more liberal. These are the numbers. These are what the numbers are showing us. This is the demographic change. That's so much fear. They will be a minority in the country in which they were born the dominant culture. And that's gotta hurt. I respect how difficult that must be. You can see the fear of this in Trump's entire campaign and the governance of this country. But here's the truth again. The U.S. will become a multi-ethnic country. Trump can delay that a little bit, but he cannot stop it. I'm going to take a break, play a little music, and get revved up again and have a little coffee, and join you on the other side of this song here. Yes, he represents racists, Tommy. It's always a harder show when I'm the only one in the studio, man. But the show must go on. Wait up. Tyree, Couldn't play your music today, man. I'm in here alone and my CD player is not working like I wanted to. I'm gonna get to you next week, man. In fact, let's talk on the phone on the air next week. See if we can put some time aside for that. Hey, Tommy Gunn, what's up, man? Are you feeling me? Oh. Yeah, Fraser fan. My best friend, the writer in Hollywood, say cool. He was a Fraser fan as well. I didn't watch it as much, but I do know he was on radio. So yeah, they did turn me into Fraser fan. I'm about to do my last segment, people. Stay with me. I'm gonna make the case for impeachment, y'all. With the flyers. Cheers to you, my brother. Hey, people, I am back. I am back. I am back. I am back. Please excuse the technical difficulties. I will get my engineer here next week, and we're going to have even a better show without any technical difficulties. But right now, I'm back to make the case for you for impeachment. That's right, I said impeachment. Donald J. Trump, crime boss of America. Let's talk about impeachment for a quick minute, folks. Impeachment is a process by which a legislative body levels charges against a government official. That would be Mr. J. Trump. It does not mean removal from office, even though I'd like that too. It is only a statement of charges. It is like an indictment in criminal law. Once an individual is impeached, he or she must then face the possibility of conviction and removal from office. Because impeachment and conviction of officials involve an overturning of normal constitutional procedures and elections and stuff like that, there's usually a high bar when it comes to removing someone from office. In fact, in the presidency, it's never been done. It requires something called the supermajority. That means that both houses of Congress, House of Representatives and the Senate, 2/3 majority, have to vote to remove a president. Impeachment, on the other hand, is just a House action. So Nancy Pelosi, chairman of the House, could actually impeach the president herself, just using her powers and the votes that she would get in the House to do so. Doesn't take any input by Senate whatsoever. Now, there have been 2 presidents impeached. One was Andrew Johnson, who I heard was a drunk. Who knows? And Bill Clinton. There's funny things about impeachment that I must clarify, though. You don't have to commit a crime to be impeached. On the other hand, you can commit a crime and be impeached. The fact is that impeachment was brought up as a way for Congress to have some control over an out-of-control president. It could be behavioral things. It could be that he's a drunk. It could be that he's a drug addict, or something else characteristically wrong with the president that can't be fixed by normal procedures. It could be lack of trust. Maybe the president lies about everything. Who knows? I'm just putting things out there, folks. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. You know what I'm saying? But maybe the president is unfit for some reason. It could be any reason that fits in a hole, that falls between the cracks of a crime. He doesn't have to rob a bank to be impeached. He could just be a incurable drunk. That's the point of impeachment. That's why it's not regular. It's not that he has to commit a crime. That's very important. So technically, a president could be impeached without having committed a crime or having been charged. Or the crime could be very small, as in the case of Bill Clinton, where the impeachment was really based on him lying about a sexual act. There were other things in his impeachment. He was impeached for obstruction of justice, which was lying about a sexual act. That's obstruction, because justice is us finding out about it, obviously. That's what the Republicans thought. So, when Clinton was impeached, he was impeached by a Republican House. Many of the people who are protecting Trump right now are actually stepped forward to impeach Clinton. Felt that it was a moral obligation. Lindsey Graham, it was a moral obligation to impeach Clinton for lying. Here we have a president that's lied over 10,000 times, counted by journalists in the Washington Post. And nobody has more of Lindsey Graham's support. Nobody. So I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to the pluses and minuses on this impeachment thing. Obviously, I'm for it, and I'm going to get to that. As I said, there are 2 presidents impeached, Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton. Excuse me. Many people mistakenly believe that Nixon was impeached. He was not. He quit before America could fire him. You can't fire me, I quit. If he were allowed to see Trump getting away with more criminal activity than he did, he'd be sorry he did quit. Why is this a story right now? I didn't even get to why this is a story right now, and I will right now. Nancy Pelosi says she does not want to impeach the press. She says, Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House, she says essentially, it's too messy, it's too divisive, and if we were going to impeach anybody, impeachment needs to be bipartisan, something I kind of agree with. In the case of Nixon, the reason why he resigned is because there was a bipartisan push to impeach him, and the votes were there, and his own boys and his own party told him that. And he was like, well, I'm going to get out of here then. I don't want to be impeached. You know what I'm saying? He might have actually made it. Who knows? But all the fight was out of him after those tapes came out, right? So impeachment needs to be bipartisan, Nancy Pelosi says. And many representatives under her in the House of Representatives actually ran on impeachment. Many will remember Rashida Tlaib saying we're going to impeach his ASS at a bar after they were elected. Omar, AOC, all these people would like to impeach the president, I'm sure. I'm from those areas, so I know that ilk very well. Pelosi was never for impeachment, though. She never spoke highly of impeachment. And I actually think she might be telling a little fib, because I believe she means no impeachment now based on what we know now. I think Pelosi wants charges. It's obvious what she's trying to avoid here. She's trying to avoid giving Trump any sympathy votes, the same way that Bill Clinton received sympathy and got reelected after he was impeached. Bill Clinton was one of our most popular presidents. aside from Barack Obama, who I know won 2 elections with more than 51% of the vote both times. So Barack Obama is the only person to do that since Eisenhower. But next to him was Bill Clinton, very, very popular, re-elected after he was impeached. And because of that, the Republicans now see impeachment as something that backfired on them with Bill Clinton. But wait. I'm going to make an argument for impeachment. That's going to include that. Nancy Pelosi also doesn't want to give Trump the argument that Dems are chasing him irrationally with no good reason. They keep on saying, oh, Trump derangement syndrome. They just keep chasing him. He's using that. She's trying to avoid this premature talk of impeachment, so that Trump cannot use it as a rallying cry, get his supporters motivated to vote even more. She wants to avoid putting some Democrats in red states in a hard position. You know, some Democrats, there are people, this is hard for me to believe, but there are people out here that voted for Barack Obama and Donald Trump. They voted for both of them. Those are actually some of the most powerful voters in the country. The voters, they're called swing voters. They swing here and there. I'm not a swing voter. You're probably not one. There are those out there who voted for both Donald Trump and Barack Obama. And Pelosi wants to make sure that they are not fighting for their lives over a misplaced impeachment bid. That's what she's trying to do. And also what she's saying is, Trump can't get away with anything here. Hey, even if we don't impeach him, he's going to leave office sooner or later, and we can just put him in jail right after that. So it's not like he's getting away with anything. Let's not harm ourselves. This is what she's saying. She's trying to be reasonable here. She's trying to be middle of the road. She's trying not to offend people who are not offended by Trump, but hey, are willing to maybe vote for someone else. Besides, there's not enough votes in the Senate to remove Trump anyway. That's the thought. That's what you hear a lot of people saying. There's not enough votes to remove him anyway, so why go through the rigmarole of impeaching him and possibly giving him the sympathy vote and rallying his supporters and all this stuff? Why go through that? Me, I say forget all that. Why? I'm for impeachment. Even if we aren't going to talk about it now for political reasons, I'm for impeachment. And here's my rationale. First of all, Republicans set the standard for the impeachment with Bill Clinton. We should hold to that standard. And if Bill Clinton was worthy of being impeached, then Trump should have been impeached on his second day. Some people see this as spiteful. But we live in a representative democracy, and I call it accountability. Republicans should be held accountable for the standards that they set while in office, while in ownership of the government, while running the government. It's the only way they can learn. So if they make what they say is a mistake and impeach somebody, oh, we made a mistake, please don't impeach our guy. Well, no. That mistake was actually the standard by which people are impeached now. So if y'all set the standard, then that's the standard by which it's set. That's what we have to follow. Those are the rules, buddy. We don't get to change them because you like your guy now. So that's first and foremost. That's the only way you learn. You only learn by being accountable. If you go into your mama's purse and steal something and she never catches you, she doesn't hold you accountable, you're likely to do it again. But if you get caught, I bet you won't ever do it again. Number 2, to impeach a president is to impeach his character. Just like a witness in a trial. You're in a trial, you're being accused of something. Somebody you know or might know you gets on the witness stand and says, yeah, he did it. What's your lawyer going to do? He's going to stand up and say, well, this guy, he's a felon. This guy, I just saw him yesterday hanging with crackheads on the corner of 109th Street. You know what I'm saying? That's what your lawyer's going to say. That's called impeaching his character. That means that his word doesn't mean much. Kind of reminds me of crime boss Trump, right? When someone doesn't have character that's worthy of standing up, you impeach her. That's just what you do. Politics be damned. If America's majority truly has a problem with Trump's character, and it does, then that's the reason the impeachment option is ours to use. That's the reason why it was created. If not Trump, then who? If you're not going to use impeachment on Trump, or at least try, who are you using it on? Who's going to cross more lines. We may as well take it off the books. And finally, the most important reason why we must at least consider impeaching Trump. Even I understand Pelosi not saying it now. This is a political move. She's trying to get through an election. She's trying to bring her caucus through an election. She's got 420 members to think about making it through the next election. It's going to be a hard one. Donald Trump's going to throw everything at us. But here's the most important point. We have got to show our citizens that the government's checks and balances work against a president who is clearly unfit. Clearly unfit. A guy that gets on stage and says, I'm going to send my attorney general after Hillary Clinton. But then says the 17 investigations against him are unfair. Well, nothing's more unfair than a president sending his attorney general after a private citizen. This is the Jamal Show. I have a minute left. I just want to tell you, please join us. Gail couldn't make it today. She will be here next week. She is at a funeral for a loved one. I send her my love and well wishes. I want to thank you for listening to the Jamal Show. Please join me on Facebook, The Jamal Show. You can find me. We also have jamalshowradio@gmail.com if you want to advertise. We are looking for good ideas and advertisers. I'm going to bid you adieu until next week. Thank you for listening to Jamal C. Wright. This has been The Jamal Show. Next week we will have our intro back up. Have a great day, folks.